o'clock, and it's time for the council to be in session.
Highlight it.
One member present. have Mr. Alatorre, Ms. Misikowski, Mr. Ridley Thomas. We have 4 members present. We need 6 more for a quorum. Would the council members please come to the council chamber? It's after 10 and we're waiting for 2 members for a quorum. Ms. Galanter, Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Holden, Mr. Wax. Please come to the council chamber.
Hey, Savarnich would like that. I want the defibrillator. Wait. I want the defibrillator.
Call the roll. Council will come to order, please. Call the roll.
Alatorre, Burnson, Chick, Fuhr, Galanter, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Ridley Thomas, Savornish, Wax, Walters, Ferraro. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Item 7. The council will please come to order. Sergeant, would you remove Mr. Alatorre from here? He's disturbing me.
Oh, excuse me, John.
This is a meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the 9th day of February 1999. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35, and we're also being monitored by council phone. The first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Ms. Miskowski moves, Mr. Wax seconds. There's no objections, unanimous vote. Next item.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
There's no objections, unanimous vote. We have some items to continue.
We do.
Mr. Savornich wants to continue item 7 for 1 day. Is there any objections to that? 1 day, is it? Seeing none, that will be the order. Well, item 7 is continued 1 day. Next.
Item number 6.
Item number 6.
Not number 7.
No, it's item number 7, the one we want to.
Yeah, they gave me the wrong number.
Well, does he want to continue 6-2? 6 is a housing thing. Okay, well, he wants to continue that one day? Is there any objection to continuing item number 6 one day? Seeing none, that will be the order. Anything else?
Item number 24, request to be continued till February 10th.
Is there any objection to continuing item 24 until February 10th? Seeing none, that will be the order.
And item number 1 is a request by the city attorney to take off calendar.
Item number 1, is there any objection to take that off calendar? Seeing none, that will be the order.
Item number 28 and 29, a request to refer those two items back to the Bureau of Engineering for review.
Item number 1, 28 and 29,
28 and 29,
be referred to budget.
the Bureau of Engineering for review.
Is there any objections to sending those two items to the Bureau of Engineering? Seeing none, that will be the order. Next item.
On the regular agenda, items number 2 through 5, items for public hearings have been held.
Any specials by council members 2 through 5? Any specials? If not, prepare the roll. 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Shoot.
Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved.
Forthwith on 3, 4, and 5, Mr. President.
Forthwith on 3, 4, 5. You're going to leave 2 out there by itself? Okay, the next item.
Items number 8 through 26, items for which public hearings have not been held, the exception of number 7 that has been continued,
7 has been continued.
and number 24 that's been continued.
We have cards on 9, 17, and 25.
There's almost no point in showing.
And 27. Anybody else want to be heard on any of the other items that were not mentioned? Any specials by council members? So let's see, we have items 8 through 27, with the exception of 9, 17, 25, and 27. Is that correct? Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Huh? Yeah, show
Coordinated as present.
the invisible council member, Ruth Galanter is here.
It should have been
Ruth Galanter is here, put her. Okay, the next item.
Item number 32 and 33. There's been a request by Councilmember Goldberg to hold that item number 33 until she arrives.
Okay, and we will hold 32 also because it's an ordinance. Okay, the next item.
Okay. Item number 9 called special.
Okay, members of the council, we have item number 9. We have some people who want to be heard on this. Marianne Whittleberger.
Hi.
Go ahead. There's a lot of you that want to be heard on this, so
Yes, we
just
have a
give
few-
your names and
I'm Marianne Whittlesberger, a tenant of 1710 Camino Palomero. With me today are fellow tenants and members of the Camino Tenants Committee. There are many tenants who could not be here today because they are sick, elderly, out of town, or at work today. As you know, we came before you 1 month ago when you, Mr. Ferraro, said, "Make these tenants happy." Well, we're back today because we're not happy. 1 month ago, Mr. Dahimi promised us a new building inspection. We got none. He told me that he would not send an inspector to our building. When I asked why, he did not give me an answer. I said that the tenants want the inspection we were promised. He said that if he had asked for an inspector, they would not come to our building. Again, I asked why, and again, there was no answer. At the last city council meeting, Bob England promised us he would send his top electrical inspector to inspect the problem of the broken conduit in the concrete pool deck, which was a source of 2 fires in our building. We have yet to see an electrical inspector. Our electrical contractor, Michael Chernick, believes that the broken conduit still poses a danger and has written a letter to the National Electrical Contractors Association concerning this problem and the lack of the city to cite the owner for this code violation. Mr. Dahimi insists that we must follow his plan to allow the owner to fix all the problems in the building before an inspection is scheduled, and to allow the owner to schedule the inspections when she is ready. This is not in keeping with our original agreement and seems prejudicial towards the owner and unfair to the tenants, especially since the owner has known about these problems since she was cited by code enforcement on August 5th, 1998. Many problems still need to be addressed at the building. The broken conduit in the concrete pool deck has not been fixed or tested. Yesterday, work began on the deteriorated pipes in the garage, but there are many pipes that have not been fixed. Balconies and stairways with structural damage have not been fixed. The pool deck has not been surfaced and holds large puddles of water, creating a slipping hazard. It is not graded and therefore does not drain properly and is not sealed with a waterproof texture coat. A leak still exists in the garage that was observed just leaking this Sunday night. There are many other problems that still exist in the common areas and in individual apartments. The owner has said she's going to fix everything, but until we see completed work, the city cannot close this case. Therefore, we are requesting that City Council grant a continuance for this building. Also, I have one other area of concern that I would like to address, and that is the lawsuit that the Traegermans have brought against the tenants and the city. I have spoken with Pat Shade from the City Attorney's Office, and she informed me that the City Attorney will not represent us in this lawsuit, and she will not be filing a responsive pleadings for the tenants who are named in this lawsuit. We feel that the city instructed us, since the city instructed us to take 25% off our rent for January under the rent reduction program, that we are not liable for any money should the plaintiffs win a money judgment. Instead, the city should be responsible for paying any and all settlement costs, not the tenants. Ms. Shade advised us to seek our own legal counsel to defend ourselves in this lawsuit. We feel that we should not have to incur expensive lawyers' fees to defend ourselves over something that the city is responsible for. And now I have some other people that would like to make some comments.
Okay, thank you. Give your name, please.
My name is Patricia Wiley. Number one, we were here last month complaining and in terrible fear of our safety because we did not believe the inspection of the electrical boxes where we had 2 fires was completed. Now, the city inspector said yes, 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 of course we've had everybody down there. Well, it turns out that the Traegermans contractor found 5 breakers and 2 bus bars were rusted, deteriorated, and had to be replaced. Now, I'm not an electrician, but my knowledge of a breaker is it stops the current when it's overloaded. If you do not have a breaker, you can have a fire. So, we come down here and I get the feeling that people think we're crazy. We're complaining about these things. We almost had 2 fires. We are known as troublemakers now. Well, I'll tell you something. I would much prefer to be a troublemaker than a casualty. If we didn't come down here and fight like this, we would have nothing. We have been fighting on something that was signed off when not even 50% of this dangerous work was taken care of. Now, the city gives us a recourse. They say, you take 25% off your rent so that we can get these owners to do something. Then we turn around, we're getting a lawsuit, and the city says, we can't be involved with you. Well, where's your responsibility? This is not an isolated case. God knows we must be speaking for thousands of people in Los Angeles, and we have got to see something occur, something that helps us. One last thing, I've got to tell you, we have not seen inspectors. We have been told by everybody that they will notify us when they come. There must be a sign at the inspector's office that says, under no condition ever allow the tenants to know you're coming. And let me tell you, if the inspector's room was a restaurant, I would hang an F on their door. That's all. Thank you very
What about
much
a
for your
Z?
attention.
Who else wants to be heard?
Mr. Ferraro, my name is Jeff Higley. Again, I'm the neighbor in the adjacent building, also owned by the same landlords. We basically have the same conditions. 2 Mondays ago, I faxed a 4-page letter to your office, to the office of Joel Wax, to Domingo Salcido, to Shari Rahimi, to Gary Blassie, who's the chairman for the Blue Ribbon Council on Slum Housing, to Larry Gross, the director of the Coalition for Economic Survival. Basically, all of the efforts we've put in to get to this point of any kind of response from this body or the department has been hard-earned, and we're still not getting the full resolution or answers that we need. As a consequence, we've begun to reach out to other buildings in our neighborhood, other apartment buildings, to extend the expertise we've acquired through these hard-earned efforts to help them address the problems they have in their buildings. We've discovered that many other neighboring buildings, tenants, renters, are experiencing the same frustrations we have. But we're encouraged that a lot of them are intending to call your office, Mr. Ferraro, the office of Joel Wax, and other council members here, as well as the Department of Housing, to secure the same kind of rights we're asking for here. Thank you.
Who else wants to be heard?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, and we'll make the cards a part of the file. We do have apparently the owner, but he didn't put his name on the card. He just put 1710 Camille Primero.
I'm the owner,
Well,
Kimberly Tragerman.
We appreciate when you fill the
Okay.
card out, you put your name in it.
Okay.
What is your name?
My name is Kimberly Tragerman,
Yeah.
and I'm the owner of 1710 Camino Palmero, which is a beautiful building, has always been a beautiful building, and is always being maintained. I am working to do everything that I can to accommodate these tenants. I've got all of the permits addressing their concerns. I've had electricians out, including Inspector England, who did sign off on their issue, and I've brought in other electricians who agree with Inspector England. I have told Shari Rahimi that I am ready, willing, and able to do anything that these tenants want, which we've done. They keep talking about a fire, these fires at the building. They were not fires. They were smoking wires that happened because I was fixing a pool deck, and the water leaked, and that's how it started, and instantaneously, I got somebody to take care of it. I have waiting lists of people who want to move into my property. And I have also offered any of these tenants, because I want them to be happy, to feel safe, to be able to go to bed at night without fear, that I offer any one of them $3,000 to relocate to another building where they will feel safe. Because my buildings are beautiful, I'm proud of them, and I invite any of these councilmen to come to my property any day, and I will be proud to show you my buildings. I am working with anybody to make these tenants happy, and honestly, no matter what I do, they are not happy. They want the shrubbery cut, I cut it, it's too short. They want plants, I plant, they don't like the color. I fix the pool deck, they don't like the way it looks. No matter what I do, they're not happy. And honestly, it's insulting to me that all of you, which I know have seen pictures, I feel I sit there, they say slum. My building, people are paying $1,500 a month to move into my building. I have waiting lists. Who in their right mind is going to spend that kind of money and move into a slum? Okay. I have been working, Councilman Ferraro, daily. I'm like so stressed out, I can't even sleep at night. And these tenants literally spend all their time just looking to find problems for me. And as I said, please, This is not Nazi Germany. If they are not happy, I bend over backwards to pay them to relocate, to find a place that'll make them happy. I've made that offer to them, and do you know what they say to me? They like the building. They like living there. They've said this to me, and then they come up and say to you that they're living in a slum. And I have had it.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there somebody from the department here? Could you come? Have you had inspectors out there recently?
Yes, my name is Shardi Himi. I'm with the Los Angeles Housing Department, and I've been mentioned on a number of occasions on this issue, and I think I'm doing the right job because I can't please anybody here, either the landlord or the tenants. But what we have done here is I've been working with the tenants, and we've identified all of the concerns. I've communicated those concerns to the owner. The owner has been very responsive and has taken out permits, is continuing work, which isn't quite completed. The main issue of the electrical conduit will be addressed. We will get 2 senior inspectors out there to take a look at it to hopefully put this to rest. With respect to the other issues, there are some plumbing issues that are pending in the garage, which the owner has taken permit out and will be completed in 2 weeks' time. So until such time that the owner is completely ready for an inspection, we, the department, will hold our inspection until the owner says we are to come down there to do a final inspection.
And how much time do you think you need for that?
30 days.
30 days. There's a request for a 30-day continuance.
That's correct.
All right, Mr. Thier?
Thank you, Mr. President. Obviously, this is in the Council President's district, and it's clear that he's been taking a very active interest in this. I just rose to space to say one thing that the landlord inspired me to say. You know, it shouldn't be that the tenants are confronted with the choice of having to leave an apartment to get good conditions or stay in conditions that may or may not be up to speed. I can't tell. The landlord says, I want to pay them to leave. They say they don't want to leave. Well, people who live in a neighborhood establish connections. It's hard to move physically, and they have connections there, and they ought to be able to live in a building that has good conditions in it, rather than have a landlord say, if you don't like it, I'll help you get out of here. That's not right. Anyway, Council President, thank you very much. Because obviously, I want to say the tenants, obviously the Council President is taking a very direct interest in your situation, which is all you could ask.
Okay, there's a request for a 30-day continuance.
That's correct.
And if there's no objections, that will be until March 12th, is it? Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming. Thank you for... Okay, next item, let's do the ordinances. We have ordinance on 32. Well, 30, we're holding 33. All right, is there any discussion on 32?
Mr. President, excuse me, I think we need to make a change on 32, and I think there's a motion that's been circulated regarding the change. All it is the title, the ballot title.
Yeah, Shapiro called about 4 or 5 special.
That's 32.
That's 32. We have 32 here before us. It's the ballot resolution to be adopted: fire, police, paramedics, general obligation bonds, City of Los Angeles. So prepare the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Item number 17, called special.
Mr. Holden, does that 3 apply to people calling to be public comment?
I want you to tell me, Mr. President, there are just too many specials today. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's just too many.
Yeah, that's because of Shapiro.
Okay.
Mr. Shapiro, item number 17.
This is Leonard Shapiro, community watchdog, or gadfly, as you please. No, Mr. Holden, I don't think 3 items special is too much, especially when some of the items are very important and should be brought to the attention of the people, not just passed arbitrarily with no discussion. I refer to this item 17. 17 has to do with the city spending $39,400 to get city employees to volunteer to do a job that the volunteers of the city will be more likely to do if they only know that you're short people. Now, if there's any type of, if you need volunteers to do election day work, I'm sure if anybody would get together and hold a public meeting, to have to invite the press there and say, this is a problem. What's the matter with the citizens of L.A.? Why don't you want to cooperate? Why do you leave just before the election takes place and force us to take this type of action? I don't think this type of action, where you're saying, I'm going to take paid employees and force them to do volunteer work, even though you're going to pay them for doing this volunteer type work, a minimum amount of stipend is paid, even if you're trying to do it this way, is not the way to go. The people of L.A., as I know them, are willing to volunteer, and especially if you get some type of a stipend for working on election day. I'm sure they're concerned, and I'm sure they would do that. And if you guys don't want to do that, I'll be glad to hold any type of a public hearing and make sure that the people understand that something is wrong with the way they're working on elections, and that they're having put paid employees.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro.
When you put
if we had the volunteers, we wouldn't be doing this. What do you think we're doing it for? Because it's a healthy thing to do? All right, Mr. Hernandez, you have the floor. Yeah. Well, why don't you volunteer? It's a Tuesday. That would mean you wouldn't be here on a Tuesday.
Mr. President, members of council, I don't know if there's anybody here from the city clerk's office, election division. Okay, Mr. Kerry, I brought in the motion to basically consider this action based on the reality that we were having a harder and harder time finding basically precinct workers at election polling places. And the reality that some of those polling place volunteers were very limited in terms of their ability to deal with elections, because elections are getting more and more complex. When I say they were limited, they weren't basically getting the proper training from their perspective because they didn't have the time to do that. They were trying to fill in for someone, and it was getting more and more complex. But when we go to our polling places, I think we know that there's always a cadre of volunteers who's there. We want to respect them and so forth. But our reality is we have to also conduct effective elections, and we need to have a full force of volunteers. So what the motion was doing was asking that we look at city employees who might want to volunteer as poll workers. And the reality is we do it for jury duty, we do it for a lot of other functions, and that's what the motion was asking to be looked at. But I think if Mr. Curry could discuss a little bit more some of Mr. Shapiro's concerns about the hordes of volunteers who want to do this job, I'd appreciate it.
Mike Carey, City Clerk. Mr. Ferraro is correct. We wouldn't be doing this if we had sufficient numbers of people to staff our precincts. And the county implemented this in November for the first time. Basically, what it asks is a city employee to volunteer their time during their regular 8 or 9 hour day. They will be assigned to a precinct. After their shift ends, they will be paid the $55. They will also go to training. This is basically a reserve pool that we can draw from during the last 2 weeks. Obviously, if we are fully staffed, we would not use city employees, but that hasn't happened to us for several years, so this is an excellent way to fill in the gaps immediately before the election. Some of these people will also be used on the day of the election to go out to precincts where people or volunteers simply do not show up for a variety of reasons.
Anyone else want to be heard on this? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Item number 25, called special.
Mr. Rochdag.
No, what's his name, Mr. Ferrara?
Mr. Shapiro?
Good.
I can't see that number up there. We're talking on 25? 25, item 25 concerns a combination of the Hollywood and Vines Sidewalk and Tree Maintenance District, which is a special assessment district, with two BIDs, Business Improvement Districts, which were basically formed. Now, it's stated in here that they think that these three organizations combined will do a better job of sidewalk cleaning, tree trimming, and various maintenance functions within the district. I don't understand why, in my opinion, when you set up a BID to do a specific job in a specific area, why you have to say, okay, there's another district set up here that's been doing this for a long time. We will combine the two, and we know that they'll operate in a better fashion. It might be. It very well might be. But that wasn't the purpose why a business improvement district was set up in the first place. It was set up to do specific functions in a specific area. If they become part and parcel of the Hollywood and Vine Sidewalk and Tree Maintenance District, they won't be performing the actual reasons why they were set up, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Fuhrer. Mr. Shapiro, you should take advantage of the opportunity to speak on item number 27 at the same time, since it refers to the same issue.
It's Mr. Ridley Thomas, it's a pleasure to see you up there in the Speaker's chair. I think it fits you rather nicely.
Thank you so much. I'm just following orders, sir.
Item 27 is not on the same issue as item 25. Item 27 concerns the Department of Transportation and operating a parking structure on Cherokee Avenue in Hollywood. And currently, 3 of the 4 spaces are occupied. One of the spaces that's occupied, it says here, which consists of 1,475 rentable square feet, is being given to this organization, Hollywood Beautification Team, a nonprofit corporation, in exchange for providing maintenance and janitorial services. Well, gee, that's a lot of parking spaces, especially when the market rate is $1 a month. You're paying them $1,475 for doing specific janitorial service. What kind of janitorial services are necessary outside of sweeping it up in a parking structure? Now they want to rent an additional 845 square feet at the market rate of $1 a month, which is okay. But then you're throwing in 2 free parking spaces. That's not explained. Why it's necessary for them to pay the rate and then get 2 free parking spaces altogether. I'd like to know how big this whole parking structure is, and what are these 4 spaces, which are big spaces, some of them 1,400 square feet and others 800 square feet, what they're all doing. And there's not enough explained in the motion, and there's not enough explained in the backup material, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, what's before us in terms of what needs to be disposed of?
Items number 25 and 27 are before you now.
All right, if there's no one else wishing to be heard, please open the roll on those items. Close the roll.
12 ayes.
All right, should we move to the next issue?
We have item number 33, which we're holding for Councilmember Goldberg to come.
All right, and Ms. Goldberg is not yet here. Should we then move to the next item?
Next items are closed session items. Public comment is still before us.
All right. Mr. Alatorre wishes to be heard.
Thank you very much, Mr. It's nice to see you chairing.
Thank you so much. Anyone else want to express similar sentiments? Are we at the point of taking public comment? All right. Anyone wishing to be heard by way of public comment? We see the name of Leonard Shapiro and the name of Pepper Ferrick. Peter Ferrick, in that order, please. You and I both know that the order is dictated by
I have a complaint about rent control issues. I have over here my receipts that I paid to my landlord in Eagle Rock, and there is a 5% increase allowed every year. However, in 1986, I paid $195 a month for the mobile home rent. I pay now $405. The increase of 5% a year is, if I'll calculate it over here, over a period of 13 years, 5%, that is 1.8856 times $195, suppose is $367.69. I pay $405. If there are mistakes being made by my landlord, that is a criminal situation. And I want to find out where I can complain and how can it be corrected. Because there are 38 mobile homes and nobody wants to complain, or if they like to complain, they don't know where to complain. And for that reason, I want to find out simply where can I go to find the reduction in rent, what is calculated $367 instead of $405.
Sergeant, can you find out if the man needs to talk to the city clerk's office or? Okay, Mr. Shapiro. So you don't like me sitting here, Mr. Shapiro? Is that correct?
I think the atmosphere in the chamber is a hell of a lot more friendly when you're not there.
A lot better when you're not here.
If I wasn't here, you wouldn't have anybody here from the public. I think it's very important that the public be heard here. And if I got to be the only one to represent the public, then so be it. I want to discuss a topic that's coming up before Mr. Bernson's planning, the Plum Committee, today. That's the Belmont High School. They wonder how the city got involved in the structure when the building is already half done, and somebody right now decided that there was a contamination order released 4 years ago. 4 years ago said it was insufficient and not proper for use in building a high school, and yet it went ahead. And then the city is in a position right now that where they issued an opinion, and now there's going to be an appeal on that opinion, and we want to know what's happening. Well, the whole question boils down, in my opinion, which I have a right to express in this public comment period, is what is the relationship between bureaucrats and politicians in the first place? Every bureaucrat who appeared before the school board said, I got nothing to do with it, this. The people who are notified about this contamination have either retired or gone away or been fired. That, to me, is no answer. When a bureaucrat comes before you and you ask him questions and you make the determination that his advice is what you want and you accept it, if the advice is wrong, like the advice is in the Belmont School complex, and it's wrong not on one item, it's wrong on 5 items. There's 5 things wrong with that way of building the most expensive high school in the United States of America. I don't know why the city should get involved in allowing something to be done like that. You're allowing businesses to be built where it's no possibility of anybody renting any of the stores, according to articles that appeared in the Times. We got to find out what's happening. We got to make sure that the people who are responsible for this catastrophe get up before the bar. And the state legislature doesn't have to do this. The city council is intimately involved. As you are the overseers of the LAUSD, you are the ones who set up their boundaries. You are the ones who set up certain conditions for them to operate under. And when they goof up like they did in this case, you got to be the ones who say, why are you doing this? And you should be investigating this whole matter just as well as the State Assembly or the State Senate. I think what's happening in Belmont is going to have a lasting impression on what's happening in the entire city. And I think when people are allowed to do something like this and then thumb their nose at the politicians and say, well, we're not here anymore, therefore nobody's going to get punished for making an error like this, which may run into tens of millions and maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars. Why is this allowed to be done? And you, as the organization that is set up to oversee the LAUSD, should get into this, do an investigation just as much as anybody else is, because it's right in your backyard. Mr. President.
Thank you. Anyone else want to be heard on public comment? If not, the public comment period is closed. We have item 33 now. You want to be heard? Mr. Burnson?
Just to clarify a couple things and correct Mr. Shapiro. Number one, the city has no jurisdiction over the use of land of another agency. They have the ability to do so. The city was not involved. Mr. Shapiro, I hope you're listening. Okay. The only involvement of the city is a request for a conditional use permit for allowing commercial uses as part of this, and the city has not acted. In fact, we will look very carefully at any possible liability to the city, which I don't believe there is any. And to suggest that the council has the ability to enforce another agency such as the Unified School District to do the things they should, which I wish we did have it sometimes, but we don't. But the point is that there has been no involvement with the city as far as that approval process for the building of the school on that site or making sure that it was safe. Obviously, the only control the city has, he says that we have jurisdiction over the school board. We do not. The only thing we have jurisdiction over is their elections, which we do set the times for their elections. So just for the record, Mr. Shapiro, I agree with you. Are you listening, Mr. Shapiro? I listen to you when you talk. Okay. While I agree with you, you just made your point to the wrong party. We understand where you're coming from, but unfortunately, we have no jurisdiction whatsoever in this case.
Thank you, Mr. Burnson. Okay, the public comment period is closed. We do have item 33 before us now. It's an ordinance. We had this discussion the other day. Is there any discussion on this? 33? Press your button, Jackie. Ms. Goldberg.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the council. What I wanted to get some information on had to do with the opinion of some, including a major metropolitan news source, that this is only going to be a gesture as opposed to anything meaningful in the way of an ordinance. And I wanted to understand whether or not this is a gesture or whether, in fact, I read very carefully the city attorney's descriptions. It seemed to me that there were some areas that the council could actually have some effect, not just gesture, and that this seemed to be one of them. So I wanted to understand that, if I could, before I made any other comments.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President and members. This is more than a gesture. This is a statement of city policy on a very important subject matter. As we analogized last time, you can compare the protections that you are espousing on behalf of those who go to the Inspector General to the way you approach protecting people in the workplace from discrimination. It's a very important public policy issue. It's a very important issue in the workplace. And the statement of city policy itself sends a message. And I think the expression we used last Friday was, this sets a city policy foundation for police commission policy. So I don't think it's appropriately described as a gesture. The point was made, however, on Friday, this does not bring about a change. There are currently policies over at the Police Commission and the Police Department that prohibit retaliation, that establish confidentiality, and this ordinance itself doesn't bring about a change, but it does underscore the point on a very important subject matter.
We are directing the Police Department to report to the Public Safety Committee in 30 days with its policy statements with this. I'm wondering whether or not we're going to get from the Police Commission itself some information also about the policies. Okay, I'd like to move to amend 3 in the report to include request the Police Commission as well as the Police Department to report to the Public Safety Committee in 30 days, and then the rest of that sentence as well. Because it seems to me that rather being adversarial, it's appropriate for us to be cooperative. And we are, I think, in doing what we're doing today, and I want to thank the Public Safety Committee and its chair, Laura Chick, for pursuing a policy statement for the city. But also, we want to work cooperatively both with the department and with the Commission and with the Inspector General's office to promulgate as much of this into policy by the Commission and by the Department as humanly possible. And some things may take future charter changes, but rather than start there, let's end there. Let's see how much we can do together jointly and cooperatively. I think it's extremely important. You know, I remind you all that we had on 2 separate occasions long hearings with both police and fire department about the difficulties in those departments. And I know that the departments are both trying to address them, but I think that this type of policy goes a long way to help support both departments in trying to address those difficulties. So that's really all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Mr. Alatorre.
I would like to hear from the Inspector General what you believe. I have a lot of respect for your judgment, and you're not here, you know, you don't have any preconceived ideas. I think you've been able to do it as a member of the Commission. You understand that responsibility, and you see it also from the standpoint now of the Inspector General. I would like to be guided by what your impressions are of the direction we're moving and whether, in fact, this is the right direction to move in, and I would appreciate your comment.
Thank you. As presently sitting as Inspector General, I think it is important that this body move in a way that underscores the need for protecting those who come to the Inspector General's office from any retaliation. I think it sends a strong message for this council to act in a way that buttresses those policies that are already in place. I have with me today copies of the motions relative to the Inspector General's office that have been passed by the Board of Police Commissioners earlier in January, the end of last year, that I think all the council already has, related to confidentiality and the onus and duty on the Inspector General to stop any threat of reprisal to the extent that they can from taking place. But I do think it's important that that be known. At the same time, I think it is true that there are issues relative to state law and others that may lead one to believe that the scope of confidentiality is greater than what one might expect. I would continue to be, as I expressed previously, concerned to the extent anyone comes forward with a complaint at the Inspector General's office that there may be many occasions, more than one might think, that that identity would have to be revealed, and so there must be notice to that person. That being the case, that does not mean that it is not appropriate for the council to act in such a way to try to buttress those policies that are in place to the best possible. My understanding is that these issues related to the intricacies of problems related to confidentiality are going to be further explored by an ad hoc committee of the Police Commission. Okay. And for example, to the extent that I think we discussed before that someone were to come forward with a complaint to the Inspector General's office and that person the complaining officer, the accused officer under the Police Officer Bill of Rights presently has the ability to get the entire investigative file at the end of the investigation. In many cases would cause that identity to possibly be revealed. Those issues need to be looked at and explored in greater detail, but I think the thoughts and the consensus around this council and these issues is important, and is a strong message to be sent.
So in other words, you feel that with what is before us and the motion by Ms. Goldberg, that it would move in a positive direction?
I think it would a very positive direction, but it's not a panacea.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Fuhr?
Mr. President, there are really a couple different issues here. I support the passage of the ordinance before us because it establishes a citywide policy that is insulated from any future change at the department level that says retaliation will not be countenanced in very specific terms. And that can only help. There is a separate issue here, and that has to do with the practical realities of how reporting about alleged problems takes place within the department. And as has been pointed out, there are two possible places for someone wishing to make that report to go. One is to a supervisor in the department, which is, by the way, mandated by department policy. The other is to the Inspector General. This gets into the issue of confidentiality under what circumstances, because if one fulfills one's obligation pursuant to department policy of going to a department supervisor, one is obviously not confidential in that setting. And one, according to the draft before us, cannot be absolved of that responsibility by going to the IG. And I don't think anybody here is saying one should be absolved of that responsibility. Going to the Inspector General allows somebody the extra oversight, assurance, that there will be some pursuit of that complaint that has been made to a department source. And that's also a good thing. It does not, however, and we are not taking action today that would give priority to going to the Inspector General, because the ordinance specifically says that one retains other obligations. So that's how I see it. It's a good thing to do in summary because it underscores a citywide policy on retaliation that cannot be changed unless the full council were to act to do so. And at the same time, it doesn't absolve anybody of an obligation to report wrongdoing that one sees within the department to one supervisor, which is something that Chief Gascon and, of course, Chief Parks are here to assertively promote. Ms. Hill, have I understood this accurately?
I would concur completely. I think the scenario that you bring up goes back to code of silence issues and other issues that you have to remain concerned about. And these are policy issues that have to be balanced somewhere down the line. And I don't think that's my purview, but between the commission and the council, I think committees, those issues have to be dealt with.
Yeah, this is a step in the right direction, which deserves unanimous support.
Mr. Bernsen?
Yes, I fully support the concept. I think that we have to have people who are willing to step forward and talk about indiscretions and wrongdoing, have the freedom to do so without retribution. But I must say that the recent policy that was put into place by our new chief, I have some problems with, and so do a lot of the rank-and-file officers, and that is complaints from people in the street are automatically go into the jacket of an officer, whether they don't automatically go in. Well, at one time the complaints went to the commanding officer, and he made a determination whether they were frivolous or whether it was something that needed to be looked into, and then he followed through with that. Now, my understanding is that regardless, once this gets to a certain point, regardless of what the determination is, whether it goes to the Board of Rights, whatever the case may be, that it does go into the jacket. That's what I've been told anyway. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I just want to know, I did not agree with that, by the way. I think if somebody is found to be not guilty of something, then it really should not stay in their record. Unless there's a succession of them that goes on for a period of time, then of course it becomes, I just wonder if this same type of thing is going to be in effect for everybody. Will that be for the chief? Would it be for the assistant chiefs? Will it be for the captains, lieutenants? Is that same policy going to be where a whistleblower or a sergeant or somebody?
With confidentiality, yes,
It will be.
yes.
Okay, I just, while I disagree with the concept, unless it becomes something that's flagrant, and then, of course, where there's enough smoke, there's bound to be some fire. But a lot of times, when people who have to be subservient in authority, or sometimes people who are disgruntled because they may get a ticket they don't deserve, they file a complaint. So I just want to make sure that this is not something that is going to be detrimental to the overall police department, which anything which is detrimental to the overall police department becomes detrimental to the people of Los Angeles. And I do have a lot of respect and confidence in you, by the way.
Thank you.
And I think I expressed that earlier when we appointed you. So I'm going to look to you to make sure that there is some, shall we say, justice involved in the system.
Appreciate that.
But if you don't put those complaints that are not good complaints in the file, you never know if somebody had some backup risk. You would want to explain that?
Sustained complaints do go in the personnel file. Sustained complaints. Now, I think what you're talking about is what goes into the team's records. And that is part of the myth there is that people make an assumption based on notations that may be in the team's process. The team's process should only be a pointer, an indicator for a command officer to be looking and evaluating at certain things.
Maybe I need a little better briefing on this, because the way it's been told to me, and I must admit I got it hearsay, so I'd be happy to get a briefing on this. Okay?
What I'd like to do for you then is provide you a full briefing on the 128
Yeah,
process.
I'd like that. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Goldberg, did you want to be heard again?
The only thing, well, first the practical thing. I'm advised that since the ordinance is before us, that my motion is really a motion, my amendment is really a motion to the report, not to the ordinance. And do I need to move reconsideration?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to move reconsideration of the report in order to amend the report, because I'm not trying to change the ordinance, and so I will move reconsideration of the ordinance to just add that one amendment. The only other thing I wanted to add is that I think at some point or another, we may be looking at a necessity to change some state law or some city charter. And I don't want to even begin to focus on that now, but I do think the desirable thing is to do that jointly with the department, with the commission, and with the council and the mayor's office, because I think then we will get people's attention as to what are the areas. It is true that everybody has a right, in my opinion, and it is the law of the land that you have a right to be confronted by your accuser. But when you do that, and how you do that, and what you do to protect from retaliation and person with lower rank from a person of higher rank, those are the real issues. Not whether or not subsequently, eventually, someone finds out who the complainant was. What we're trying to say here today is that some places we know of, because they're reported to our office, people who are being told that they know they went to the Inspector General and you're in for it now, buddy. This is the kind of thing we want to stop, as opposed to someone not having the opportunity to be confronted by their accuser. I don't think there's any intent to avoid that. It's how and when and where and whether or not there's sufficient protection if a person is complaining about a person in a supervisory or higher rank than they are. And that's the issue, not whether or not a person has a right to be confronted eventually by their accuser, particularly if there are consequences of the complaint. Then of course they have a right to know who it is that's complaining. But that's not, I think, the issue that we're really looking at. We're looking at the kind of milieu in which a person is told up front, your career is in the toilet if you do this, or don't worry, we'll take care of you. And these things, unfortunately, not by everybody, in fact, not by many, but by enough to make people feel intimidated and afraid to come forward. And that's what we're trying to address. And I know the department and the IG's office and the Personnel Commission all have the same goal in that area. So the question is how to make that happen. And that's the distinction that I wanted to make.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Chick?
On that note, I would ask my colleagues for unanimous support of this. It's rather ironic that there's been so much debate, so much concern on the part of department management in terms of the letters that have been written, when in fact, as we see today, what we're all doing is agreeing with each other and supporting policies that are already in existence. So I look forward to the kind of teamwork that my colleague just discussed. Thank you.
Okay, we have item 33 before us now. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Now, next item. Thank you very much, Deidre and Chief.
Next item is a special one, a motion by Ridley Thomas and Galanter.
Okay, can we have the findings on special one?
Yes, on February 3rd at 10 a.m. in the morning, Ms. Hong was shot and killed as she stood outside her market, outside the 54th Street Market. The police have asked for a reward for information leading to the identity and apprehension of the people who killed her. Therefore, the council would need to make the findings that there's an immediate need to act, and the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda.
Okay, prepare the roll on the findings. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Now we have the matter before us. Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, all of us have heard of this horrible act of violence against a beloved merchant in the area of 54th and Van Ness. It has struck a nerve. The entire community is rallying behind and with the police department and the family to apprehend the persons who murdered Ms. Hong. Both Mrs. Galanter and I have been contacted by the family and the police department to do all that we can and ask that the council do likewise to be supportive of these efforts, to encourage anyone who knows anything about this murder to come forward. This reward motion will do precisely that. I should say, while I'm standing, Mr. President, members of the council, on Thursday at 10 a.m. at the St. Bridget Church, there will be a memorial service for Ms. Hong at the request of the family to have it in the community in which she was a merchant for roughly 20 years. That's at 10 a.m. at 52nd and Western, and we ask for your unanimous support of this reward motion.
Yeah, I just want to add my voice to the plea Mr. Ridley Thomas just made for people with information to help us try to solve this crime. This occurred right on the border of his district and mine, and we are both, I think, equally concerned, as is everyone in the community. And I would point out that, as you mentioned the other day, Mark, this is a situation that shows how far, in some ways, how far we have come in the last several years because of this time we were able to have a tremendous outpouring of concern and sympathy and desire to resolve the problem and find the criminals and get them out of everybody's hair. And that has not always been the case, but it is also a mark of how far we have not come that such a crime took place at all. And I hope that this one, because of its overtones and its history, will be one that we are able to solve, and that people who have information will take the trouble to notify the police. And if you don't want to notify the police, notify my office or Mr. Ridley Thomas's office or somebody who will call us or call the police, because it's really important to the entire community that the people who murdered Mrs. Hong be taken out of circulation, and that we show, as a community, show our determination to prevent such things.
We have special one before us. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Items number 30 and 31, closed session items.
Okay, let's clear the desk, and we're going to go into executive session. So everyone not involved with the executive session, please leave the council chamber.
That's okay. And then we go to item.
I have several of these, about 6 of them. Requests for excuses. Would you like to do them now?
Yeah, go ahead and do them now. What do we have before us?
Council members' requests for excuse from attendance at council meetings. Number 1 is Mr. Savornich's request to be absent on June 1st, 2nd, 4th, 8th, 9th, and 11th for personal business. This meets policy.
Unanimous vote.
Ms. Mizikowski requests to be absent on the 15th, 16th, 18th, 22nd, 23rd, and 25th for personal business. This meets policy.
Unanimous vote.
Ms. Galanter requests to be excused on Friday, February 12th, leave at noon for city business. This meets policy.
Unanimous vote.
Mr. Ridley Thomas requests for February 17th for city business. It meets city policy.
Unanimous vote.
And Ms. Galanter for personal business on Thursday, February 11th, to leave the council at 11:30.
Yeah, I want to remind everybody that we do have a council meeting on Thursday on the charter. So Ms. Galanter wants to be excused on Thursday. Unanimous vote.
Finally, Ms. Goldberg requests to be out, perhaps due to illness, on February 10th and 12th.
Unanimous vote. Excuse me for at 11:30 tomorrow. Is there any unanimous vote? Okay, we're going to go into executive session now. Okay, we're back in open session. The next item.
The desk is clear.
Okay, we have some adjourning motions. Would everyone please stand?
Mr. President.
No, wait a minute.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
First.
Yes, sir.
Members of the council, I'd ask we adjourn in memory of Hubie Kearns, who leaves his wife and 2 sons and 3 daughters. Hubie Kearns was an outstanding track, ran the 400-meter, 440 yards at USC, was a teammate of mine on the football team. I'd also ask that we adjourn in memory of Dr. Elliot Corday, who passed away.
Second.
And he, all members, he was a distinguished cardiologist.
Right.
Does that work?
He leaves his daughter, he leaves a wife, and he also leaves a daughter, Joanne Cosberg, who was a member of the cabinet of Pete Wilson. I asked him to adjourn his memory. Mr. Out.
Mr. President, members, I'd like to adjourn in the memory of Henry Kramer. He is the father-in-law of my former chief of staff, Robin Kramer. He just recently passed away, and I'd like to adjourn in his memory.
Mr. Bernson?
Yeah, I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of Bobby Troop, well-known entertainer, musician that passed away. I had the occasion to meet him many, many years ago, and as I recall, this may not interest the whole council, but I think Robin and I's first date, I think we spent at the China Trader listening to Bobby Troop. So I would ask that we adjourn his memory. He's survived, by the way, by his wife, Julie London, and I believe they have 4 children who are also from that family.
Ms. Goldberg?
I actually have several. I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Ben Margolis, who was a premier trial lawyer and a fearless fighter for civil liberties, a founding member of the National Lawyers Guild, and a card-carrying member, he used to like to say, of the ACLU. His name is inseparable from the history of the labor movement in both San Francisco and Los Angeles, the defense of screenwriters, labeled as the Hollywood 10, the fight against the House Un-American Activities Committee, and McCarthyism. Ben wrote the successful appeal in the Sleepy Lagoon case, in which 9 Hispanic youth were convicted of first and second-degree murder in a vicious racist trial during World War II. In his later years, Ben Margolis pressed other notable cases that broke ground in the prosecution of sexual harassment cases. He was active in the legal struggle against racially restricted covenants in housing. In the early 1980s, he helped pioneer a legal strategy against substandard housing in a landmark case where the tenants took their slumlord to court and won. He also mentored several generations of civil rights workers and lawyers, including people in my office and my brother as well. He is survived by a wife of 62 years, Valerie, his sons Kenneth, Roger, and Gregory, and the 5 grandchildren. In addition, I'd like to ask that we close today in memory of Dale Carby, who passed away on Friday, January 15, 1999, at Queen of Angels Hospital. He was born in Illinois, came to Los Angeles in the 60s, was in the Air Force, and after becoming a civilian again, joined Western Airlines. In 1994, he met Reuben, and his life partner, and he became an active member of UGLA, Uptown Gay Lesbian Alliance, was elected to the board, and many more things. He helped spearhead the outreach and support of the Chris Brownlee Hospice. And he lived in Mount Washington, and he and his partner had a real passion for life, incorporating their love of gardening and pets in their life together, and he will really be missed. Finally, I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Agnes McLaughlin, who was born in 1911 and died on September the 4th, 1998. She was the treasurer of PFLAG LA and also involved in the national organization, the first Catholic parent in the Parents and Friends of Lesbian and Gays to speak out on behalf of her lesbian daughter. She claimed it was her deep faith in her religion that gave her the strength to understand and support her daughter. She will be missed by all of us.
I'd like to join you on that, please.
Mr. Holden?
Mr. President, members, we lost a good friend in the labor movement, Jim Henry. He was very active in UAW Local 887, and of course he was a union organizer and representative, and going to miss him.
Mr. Wax?
Yes, I'd like the council to adjourn in memory of Thomas C. Henry. He is the father of my planning deputy, Tom Henry. And I know that he wanted Ms. Chicken, Ms. Sikowski, Mr. Burnson, Mr. Farrar, and others that he's worked with to join that. He was not only the father of Tom, he is a man who had a very, very distinguished military career in World War II. He served in the division in the infantry that served the longest of any unit, not only in the Army, but in any of the armed services in battle for over 3 consecutive years, and was part of the invasion of both the Philippines and Papua New Guinea. He leaves, he died suddenly. He leaves his wife, his son Tom, his daughter Mary Elizabeth, and 3 sisters, 2 of whom are nuns, and I'll give the clerk the pertinent information.
Members, I think we should also adjourn in King Hussein, who was a man of peace, and all members on that. Call the roll. The council is adjourned.